So you volunteered to do some test item validation. What the heck is that? Let's take a couple minutes to answer the following questions. What is validation and why do we do it? What is an item content validation index and why are we using it? What are the technical aspects of using a CVI? And what are the particular steps that we're going to use to get all of this stuff done? Let's start with what is validity. When we're talking about the questions on an exam, validity is how well the question measures what it's supposed to measure. For example, if you're testing students on the topic of vehicle safety, a valid question would be, what piece of safety equipment should the firefighter wear regardless of the type of vehicle that they're riding in? An invalid question would be, what color are most first responder vehicles painted? The first question is measuring specific knowledge about keeping first responders safe during vehicle operation. Whereas the second question might have been trying to test knowledge related to safety and visibility of the apparatus, but it misses the mark for several reasons. By making sure the test items in our exams are valid, we're doing a bunch of important things. First, we're making sure that the exam will separate the students who understand the material from the ones who don't get it. We're also making sure that the questions make sense for the topic and for the real-world practice that students are going to be doing after they're certified. By making sure our exams are doing what they're supposed to be doing, we're building trust in the certification process and in the students that we certify. Next, let's look at the Content Validity Index. Imagine you're designing a new tool, like a new piece of rescue equipment. After you finish your design, you want to make sure that every part of the tool works as it was intended. So you have a team of experts look at each part to figure out if it was designed right, and when it's all put together, if everything is going to work correctly. Conducting an item CVI is similar. You're checking each item within an exam question bank to make sure that the components of the exam meet our expectations of quality. So how does all this work? Well, the CVI scores each question based on its clarity and its relevance. Clarity means that each question or statement is written in a way that makes it easy to understand. It's like giving directions to someone so they can find a place easily. If the directions are clear, they'll get there without getting lost. There shouldn't be any confusing words or tricky sentences. The students need to understand what is being asked. They shouldn't need to guess at what the question is asking. Relevance is when a question in a test or in teaching material is relevant to the topic. It means it's really about the topic at hand. For example, in a first aid test, a relevant question would be about how to bandage a wound, not how to bake a cake. Both of these categories is scored from 1 to 4. 1 is the lowest and 4 is the highest, where 1 means it is not clear or relevant. 2 means it needs significant revision. It can still be salvaged, but it needs a bunch of work. 3 means it needs minor revision. This may be grammatical errors or a quick change in wording. And then 4 is the best score it can give. It is clear and relevant and needs no modification whatsoever. Once each test item is scored, I'm going to go through the scores and calculate the CVI. Questions that score very low are going to get thrown out. Questions that score very high are going to be considered valid and they'll be added to the test bank immediately. The questions that get scores in the middle are going to be the ones that we look at when we meet to do the more traditional test item validation. This process allows us to spend less time sitting in a room looking at test questions and more time making sure those test questions are working as well as possible. So how do we get started? Well, you're going to receive 2 emails from me. One is going to contain a link to a PDF document that has your assignment of questions to review. The other is going to contain a password that you need to open up that document. When you open the PDF, you'll see one question per page. You can then click on the boxes on that page to select your score. You can also click on one of the small boxes that indicate why you gave the score, but that's completely optional. Make sure that you save as you go and try to only do 10 to 15 questions at a time. Taking breaks and spreading the work over multiple days helps keep your scoring tendencies stable. Doing too much at a time tends to create inaccurate scores. Once you've made it through your assignment, email that file back to me so I can add up your scores. Once everyone has returned their assignment, we can schedule a time to come in and look at the questions that need revision. It's important to get your assignment done before the deadline. Don't worry about revising questions during this round. We're just doing a first pass to thin the herd so we have less work to do later. To sum it all up, we validate questions to make sure that they can tell us who knows the material and who doesn't. We don't want to pass students who aren't up to the standards of the job. We use the CVI because it's a quick and easy way to triage the questions. We can quickly tell which questions are good, which questions need our help, and which questions need to die. We score each question based on its relevance to the standards and its clarity. Irrelevant and ambiguous questions work against the purpose of testing students, which is to figure out what they know. And we're going to conduct our CVI using the PDF assignments. Try to hit only 10 to 15 questions at a time and save as you go. That's all I have for you. If you have questions, shoot me an email or give me a call.